Show. Hi, I'm Randy Jeffers, and we are live from the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, we have a special show for you today. Two of my very favorite people are here, and I've got my Sun Warrior t-shirt on, but this is Denley Falk and Jan Falk. They are the founders and owners of an amazing health company called Sun Warrior. And the Sun Warrior brand right there. You guys have incredible products, just amazing products, and I know we're going to get some visuals so people can see what they look like. But before we get started, I just want you to know that if you have never tried the Sun Warrior products, you need to go to your health food store, your local health food store, and also get out a pencil and paper, because we'll give you some ways that maybe they can order direct.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right, perfect. Well, welcome you guys. Great to have you here.
Thank you for having us. This is awesome.
Yeah,
Great
absolutely.
opportunity.
Well, you guys have an amazing story and an amazing company, but it all came about because of your story. And let's just sort of start there and tell us how did all this happen? How did you get into the health business?
Okay. Well, it all began when I was a little kid. My folks had a fruit stand in Linden, Utah. And that little fruit stand got bigger and bigger. My dad made it grow. And you heard the saying, you are what you eat.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, back then, I became a Twinkie, a Coke, and a puff of smoke.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So by the time I'm a teenager, I'm not a well boy.
Yeah.
Things are not going well for me. And this is back in the 60s, and there's a lady that wrote a book. I don't know if you've ever heard of a person named Ann Wigmore. She's the lady that came up with the idea of wheatgrass juice. So my mother reads this book, and so she starts growing this wheat out behind the house. And she cut it off, and back then they didn't have wheatgrass juicers. It was a meat grinder, hand by hand. She ran that grass through a meat grinder and squeezed the juice out. She says, "Come here, boy. This is going down. You're going to be drinking this."
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe that she made me drink that stuff. I go, tastes like cow food. It was.
Yeah.
So, but something happened to me that day. It's like, it was like a euphoric high when I took that. Whenever somebody is so depleted, and I was a sick boy, and you have something really high nourishment going into your body, it gives you a euphoric. It does mean I'm very sensitive, and then something else happened. My lungs felt better. What happened is, I linked what goes in my mouth has something to do with how I felt. So. We got people walking the sidewalks out on the streets that never ever put that together, that what goes in here has anything to do with anything.
Right.
And I maintain it has everything to do with how you think, how you act, your personality, and of course how you feel, your energy. It's all right there. So anyway, I meet this young lady after I grow up and convince her finally to marry me. We start having kids, and our first couple of kids were pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Yes. And then our education began when we had twin daughters, twin girls. And right off the bat, they were throwing up all over everything and everybody. They had diarrhea constantly, every day and every night. And number 3, icing on the cake, they had respiratory infection. A lot. They had it a lot. And so when they get that, then you can't be messing around. So, what do? We're just two young kids having kids. And so we took them to the doctor, the doctor puts them on a prescription, they get better. And about a month later, bam, they're sick again. So every month it seems like we're on a cycle, a drug cycle, back to the doctor. And then things started to progress, like it wasn't every month, it became every 3 weeks.
Ooh.
And the time between doctor visits got a little shorter and shorter, every 2 weeks, every other week. It got to the point where if our babies were not on prescriptions, they were sick.
Wow.
They had to be on it all the time. And, we weren't, we didn't know much, but we're thinking, that can't be good for you. They can't live like this. That can't be healthy for you.
Yeah.
They're getting worse. Our babies are getting worse. So we, with our genius minds, we decided to have them tested. Something must be wrong, we thought.
Well, let me stop you for a second,
Yeah.
because I want to hear how you're listening to the story again, and I'm sure it's bringing back memories. But how'd you feel back then when that was going on as a mother?
Well, as a mother, I was already in overwhelm, way
Yeah.
over my head, having 2 babies, diarrhea, throwing up all day long. I mean, one baby that's sick for a week like that is enough, but
Yeah.
2 every day for their whole lives. They were 14 months old before we decided to go to a specialist and find out exactly what we're dealing with and try to find some answers.
Had to be really hard.
It was hard. It was
Yeah.
really hard because I had a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old at the same time.
Oh my
So,
goodness. Wow.
I was busy.
So what happened next?
Well, then I say, Jan, because I'm working like 2 jobs, you know,
Yeah.
I go
Keep food on the table.
to pay those doctor bills.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
a
mean?
bunch of them.
You ought to take them to the doctor. Let's find a specialist. Let's get to the bottom of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so she did, and you might explain.
Yeah, so I take him to a doctor. He's a pediatrician, and he does some tests. He said, let me run. I tell him the background that they've just been on antibiotics since they were a month old. They're not getting better, they're getting worse. And so he said, let me take some tests, and I'll talk to you in a few days. He calls me back in his office about 3 days later. Says, I want you to sit down. I want to visit with you. And basically what he told us is that the girls had cystic fibrosis. They call it CF.
Wow.
And I said, oh, CF, I was scared to death because Denley had a sister who had a baby who died of that. He only lived 11 days, literally starved to death, never even came home from the hospital. And this was about 8 or 10 years later, so they, anyway, the prescriptions is what was keeping him alive. And he said, this is what we need to do. We need to up the prescriptions. It needs to be a stronger dose, and they need to take them more often. And I said, well, I need to know more about cystic fibrosis because I only know this about my sister-in-law's baby. He said, well, they only have a lifespan of 18 to 20 years max. Most of them pretty much it takes them between the ages of 9 and 11. You're going to have to kind of keep them in a bubble. They can't be around any germs, any kids that are sick, and we need to just get their prescriptions upped and more often, and that'll help keep them alive.
My goodness.
And I said, yeah, keep them alive because I feel like my babies are dying. And he said, they are, and it's a numbers game. We don't know how long they'll live, but they were tiny. They only weighed, they were 14 months old when they were tested. They only weighed 15 pounds. So I was scared to death every night. I'd get up during the night just to make sure they were still breathing because cystic fibrosis is a digestive disease. It's a disease of the pancreas that doesn't produce the enzymes to digest food. It's also a lung disease. So it was a double whammy, and that's why they'd get sick easy. And what really happens is they cough so much and so hard that it causes scar tissue, and then fluid gets into the lungs, and that's usually what takes their lives. So I was scared to death, went home in tears, told Denley that his only options was more prescriptions, stronger doses, and that we needed to take him to University of Utah Medical Center and have him go through some therapy. And I said, I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, these 2 babies, and I don't have any way to go to the hospital 3 times a week for therapy. And he said, well, let me show you how to do the patterning on their back. And he showed me how to just pat them on their back. They were so tiny, I had to do it really light. And it helped dislodge the mucus and helped them breathe a little better, but that was about all it did.
My goodness.
And then he sent me home with prescriptions.
More prescriptions.
Yeah, more prescriptions. Pig pancreas powder was one of them. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, okay. I was in such overwhelm by then. I went home in tears and told Denley. He's like, tell them what you said. Tell them what you told me.
Well, I can't remember exactly what I told you, but I said, I don't think so.
Not taking them to University of Utah
Not
Medical
going to happen.
Center.
Yeah, I lost a couple of buddies up there, University of Utah Medical Center. And so for me to take our babies up there, I just didn't want to repeat anything. I just didn't want a pattern. You know,
Yeah.
I had a bad link, if you say, you know.
Yeah.
I said, I don't feel good about it. And Einstein has a saying, the definition of insanity is what? Repeating, doing the same thing over and over again. So
Expecting different results. Yeah.
and expect different results. To me, it was like an insult to what little intelligence I had back. That, are you kidding me? You want us to put on higher, stronger doses of this stuff, which they're getting worse now on this stuff.
Yeah.
Why would I want? This
To do
is
that.
stupid.
Absolutely. Now,
Stupid.
what year was this when the babies were born?
They were born in 1977.
So in 77. Okay.
So this all happened in about 1978.
Yeah, and that was just sort of when health food stores were coming about. There weren't a lot of them. It wasn't like now.
We had
right?
a little one, a little one in town, and I immediately took him there, and they told me get him on acidophilus immediately. and that was something they loved, and it built up their good bacteria because the medication had wiped out all the good and bad bacteria. So
Wow.
that was the starter. I mean, they said they can have all they want. It came in flavors, and they loved that.
Yeah, and I worked at a grocery store back then in the produce department. I grew up in the produce business, and so I got to know this old guy that does the floors, and we got talking 5 o'clock in the morning, and I kind of bore my soul out to him, and I said, I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do about, my kids are dying. I don't like what they're saying. He goes, what are you guys doing tomorrow night? And I said, shoot, I don't know, you tell me. He says, we want to pick you up. Oh, I have somebody I want you to meet. So he did. He picked us up and our girls, and we went to Bountiful and met this lady named Loa. Her name's Loa. And she sat us down, looked at us, looked at our girls, and she said 2 things I will never forget. First thing she said is, kids, if you will do what I ask you to do, I'm going to promise you something. You'll never have your babies back to the doctor ever again.
Wow.
I'm going, ever? Are you kidding me? Because we're in debt. Doctor bills over our,
I can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Doctor bills aren't cheap. Terrible, now they were expensive then. So, and the other thing she said was, don't you know, your answer lies in nature. There's your answer. And bam, that threw me right back to my wheatgrass juice days. And that's the only thing that felt good. You ever have a feeling right in here? You're going, oh, this is it,
It's like a light bulb.
light
turns
bulb.
on.
Yeah, I had that burning feeling inside. And so she sent us home, unpacking our fridge, unpacking our freezer, our cupboards, all white sugar, white flour,
Preservatives, additives,
preservative
coloring.
colorings. We had to read the label. If you can't read it, don't eat it.
Well, great advice.
Good advice. And so we turned on a dime, and the next morning, of course, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm back at the produce department. We're beginning a new life. And when the store opens about 9 o'clock in the morning, here's Jan with all the kids. Have you seen the picture? You got a cart full of kids, screaming, bawling kids hanging out of the cart. And we're looking for something to eat. We're hungry.
And we don't know what
And we don't know what
to fix or
It's,
what.
But you did work in the right department.
Yeah, he worked in the
Yes, I
produce
did.
department.
We were there.
Yeah.
And so she, all we had was produce, basically produce in that cart that we could eat. She basically put us on a raw food diet, raw, and
Raw
so
vegan, actually.
yeah, raw vegan diet. And so Jan goes home, she prepares all this food, chop, blend, and you ever try to get a kid to eat something they don't want to eat?
I have.
Yeah,
Doesn't work too well.
It's like the jaws of hell.
Jaws of hell.
Cramped. You can't pry those jaws open. And so here I am. I get on the phone and I go, "Hello, Loa. They don't like it. They don't want anything to do with it.
Same
What else
working.
you got? What else can we do?" She goes, "Well, who's the parent and who's the child here?" I go, "Oh, so I get to beat these kids because I want to." No, you don't have to beat your children. She goes, "If you fix them what you want them to eat for breakfast, and if for some reason they're not hungry enough, guess what they get for lunch?"
Same thing.
Yeah, I said, "Yeah, but
Sat
what
around
if,
in the fridge all day.
what if they don't want to eat it for lunch?" And she goes, "Well, dinner is a dead ringer for sure." We starved the little snots to it.
Yeah.
We did, and it worked.
And it worked, yeah.
It took time, but their little taste buds changed. Things started changing with their taste buds, and finally we have lots of stories about green juice all over the ceilings and the floors, and
But our carpet was green, so that worked pretty good.
blended in well. So anyway, some of the things
So
we
the
did.
babies the twins were how old when this?
14 months when we
They were
started.
14,
all this.
and then,
14
but
months.
your other kids, you had to change all of their habits as well.
Oh, well, yeah, they
Everybody.
hated it.
Everybody.
I said, we're all going to
Everybody.
eat like this. Why? We're not sick. And I'm like, well, we're not sick either, but they are, and they're not going to understand
Yeah.
that they can't have something we're having. So, so these are some of the things we did. Crazy, crazy things. Everybody thought we were lunatics. Our families thought we were going to kill our kids. And anyway, the list goes on. But she had us, first of all, put them on, first we did baths for them. And they were therapeutic baths with salt, soda, and Epsom salts. First we did salt, then we did soda, then we did a combination of half salt, half soda, and then Epsom salts in the bathtub. The key was to keep them wet to their neck, fill the water up, and keep it as hot as you could. Well, they were so tiny, they only weighed 14, 15 pounds. I get the water this high, they'd start floating.
Yeah.
I'm like, now I'm going to drown my kids. Anyway, so I found beach towels, good heavy beach towels, pinned them around their neck and the weight of the water on the towel, held them in a sitting position. But I had to put them in the bathtub for 2 hours at a time, keep the water hot for twice a day. So 4 hours a day. Those kids were in the bathtub. As soon as I started turning the water on, they're like, no, we want out. And 5 minutes after the first day, we want out. We don't like this bath. Anyway, after about the third day, there started to be a ring around the tub. A weird
Toxins are
kind
coming
of
out.
color ring.
Yeah, exactly.
Next day, a different color ring.
Wow.
By the third day, a real murky, icky color, and so we get low on the phone. What's going on? Finally, the toxins and poisons are being released through their skin. She said, I figured the baths would do it, and that's what they're for. So we had to endure that for 4 months. And our oldest son was in school. He was in first grade, but our oldest daughter was 4, and she had a bath with him, and she really hated it. But that was the longest 4 months of my life to that point.
But you had hope.
We did have hope. We had some hope because everything she told us about rang true for us. I grew up kind of poor, and we lived our house. My dad had a great big garden. We had fruit trees all around the yard. So that's basically what we eat. Well, I mean, the way I ate. But we learned that just what she said, our answer lies in nature. And so then the next thing she said is, these kids are so depleted, so nutritionally depleted. They've got to have greens. Okay, how do I get greens in them? Well, first of all, what you do is you put them in a blender, take 5 or 6 green vegetables, put them in a blender, blend them up and have them drink it. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, they hated it. They hated everything we did. No, we don't want that, you know. And then this was the best therapy of all, she said. And then we got to, when they're not going to get better overnight, they're still going to get sick. So what I want you to do is when they do get sick, you need to take raw red potatoes and juice them. Not blend them, but juice them in a juicer. Take that juice, put it in an enema bag, and deliver that enema to them. And I'm like, okay, why? What? Don't question why. It just works. It works just like natural penicillin. I said, okay. So the first time we did that, you know, there are 2 of them. I have to do one at a time. The one I grab, do her little job, and then the other one's hiding somewhere. I have to find her. And if you know anything about potato juice, you juice it and all the starch raises to the top. And so float goes to the bottom anyway. So that's down where the enema has to come through and all the liquids on top. Had to do it fast. And had to, anyway, I had to do it one at a time because it just didn't work the other way around. But they hated it. Absolutely hated it. But I noticed that they were getting sick less often. And when they were sick, they weren't quite as sick. And the faster I got that red potato juice down them, the faster they got better. And I could have them drink it, but they hated the taste of it, and it would have taken them forever. And then Dinley said did you tell them about the green soup? She said, because they're so depleted, they need greens desperately. And so we put the greens in a blender. She called that Jiffy soup. And I'd have to sit them on the counter and watch them like a hawk so that they didn't spill it. And if I turned my head just 2 seconds, one was on the floor, painting the ceiling green. And her sister couldn't wait for me to start cleaning it up so she could do hers.
You see, it was a talent. You kick the glass over and it would sail through the air, and it hit the floor, bam,
Bounce
and
to
then,
the ceiling.
you know, it was, I don't know how they did it, but it was quite a talent.
Yeah. And then the enemas, you know, after the first enema, they loved that so much that one would run and hide.
Yeah.
And I'd have to find her to get her enema. And then they got really smart and they decided, well, we don't want those, they called it Tato Bum Bum, and we don't want that anymore. And so they'd run to their room, hide their head in their pillow so I couldn't hear them coughing, so I didn't know they were getting sick. So I just sit them down, and they're not even 2 years old, and I have to say, do you want to go to the doctor? Do you want to go to the hospital? Do you want to have shots? We have to do this to get you better. This will help make you better. Then we had to feed them a lot of greens, and what was the other thing? Oh, Denley took them out jogging so that they could get their circulation going. I put them out in the sun on lawn chairs, take their little shirts off and let the sun penetrate their lungs.
So now these babies were how old at this time?
They were between
started
14 months and about 18 months.
So you took them out jogging. How did that happen?
Like, okay, so
He lives in
when
slow
we,
motion.
yeah, because when we changed our diet, we turned on a dime. Like instantly, we became the neighborhood weirdos. We did. And so here's the neighborhood weirdo with his two little girls jogging around the neighborhood.
The
you know.
neighbors are out the window going, "What is he doing
What's the
now?"
weirdos doing now?
What
You
are
know,
they doing to
a
those
lot
poor
of
little girls?
whispering behind our back, you know. And by the way, we're still weird, and
And we like it. There's a lot of weird people like
You're
us
a-
now.
it's
You're a
cool.
good
It's
weird.
cool.
It's kind of cool to be weird.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, it really, you know, our family trying to change anything, especially when it comes to diet. Your family really, like our parents, thought we were, you know, crazy, want to kill our kids.
I could imagine, yeah.
You know, you
Because
and
you're
like
not listening to the doctor.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
and
Right.
everything
Yeah.
that you do
Yeah.
is geared around food, and everybody
Everything.
loves food, and so don't take away what I love, because
Right.
that's not going to happen with me.
yeah, church.
And so
we
we
go
were
to
starving
church
our
and
kids, and
Yeah.
banquets and outings, and you know, it's just a lot of.
My goodness.
we'd eat before we go, and promise them a treat when we got home. And it was like
Oh, we've done it.
My
our treats
goodness.
weren't real treats, little box of
Sending
raisins, maybe.
a lunch bucket, you know, just a little sack for their own lunch, you know,
Uh-huh.
and it, you know, so interesting.
It wasn't pretty.
Little box of raisins for their treat.
And every time the mom and you know would go to the class with the kid's birthday with big treat for the birthday, our little girls, and they were still tiny, they'd look up and go, "Does it got sugar?" Mom would go, "Oh, can't you eat sugar? Oh, I'm sorry." And the teacher would always have a box of
A
raisins.
little box of raisins, you know, and they're going, "Oh yeah,
We're excited.
delicious."
But yeah, it took them a long time to get all that therapy. It took 6-8 months to get through the therapy. The coughing started to slow down after about 8 months.
Wow.
Finally, the diarrhea was still going strong, and she said, "Okay, Jen, this is what I want you to do. Go find some raw carob powder." And carob's like chocolate, only it's natural chocolate. And so I went and got some. I put it in a cup with water, and I put just a little bit of honey in it to sweeten it. I said, "Come here, girls, I have something for you to drink." What? And it wasn't green, so they liked that idea, but they loved it. "What is this, Mom? Is this chocolate milk?" I go, "Yeah, it's chocolate milk." And they said, "Oh, I like it." I said, "Good, you can have all you want." 2 weeks and their diarrhea was gone.
Oh my goodness.
The carob is binding, and when it's natural raw, it's got a binding factor.
worked.
And so the more they drank, the faster it worked. So that was the highlight. Another little thing we did was we had a mini trampoline, and because they were so tiny, they could both get on it together, and they jumped all the time. They loved the trampoline. They didn't mind the laying in the sun because I could only lay them there a few minutes. And they didn't really love running with their dad, but they just go up to the corner and back. It wasn't very far. So, but the food, they still, you know, they don't like what we had to do.
I can imagine.
And I was the mean mom. Especially with the big kids. They weren't very happy with me either.
Now these girls are how old now?
Okay, they just turned, well, no, they will turn next month. They will turn 40 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And they're both married. They told us at the get-go they'd never live to be more than 18, 20 max, and they would never be able to have a baby. And I'd say, "What? They'll never get married and have babies?" And he's like, "If they ever live long enough to get married, that would be one thing. They'll never live long enough they'll never be healthy enough to carry a baby." One of them has 7 kids, and her sister now has 8.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
So have they followed the tradition that you?
they did, and they both married meat-eating husbands,
Oh.
and the
have
kids. They kept the kids all vegan. They stayed vegan until the kids were small. While the kids were small, all of a sudden, the kids wanted to eat what Daddy was eating. Da, 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 da. No,
They're healthy,
not.
though.
They're healthy,
I mean,
and the kids are
they're
all
lucky.
healthy.
They're lucky
so we're
so
really
far.
lucky.
Yeah.
They could, our daughters could be healthier. They still have issues.
Some tendencies.
And if they get off the diet, because they have to still follow a certain, if they start feeling, not well, then they have to go
They
back.
know they have to go vigilant
back to
vegan for a few days
what really
and
works,
start feeling good.
Yeah.
So,
Well, but that affected you two now because you two I know are vegans and live a very healthy lifestyle, right? So I guess the whole family did that, right?
Yeah, we did it as a family, and
Yeah.
we felt like Denley always had some health issues, and a lot of his were digestive. I didn't have too many health issues, but I always had to fight my weight. So everything we did worked for whatever the needs were that we had, and we just said, this is true, this works, and we proved that it works. So you can't knock the proof in the pudding.
Absolutely. So you guys started this process, and you got yourselves healthy. Your whole family's healthy. But how did you get to where you want to make the world healthy? Because you have this big company now that's the goal of it, right?
So when all this happened, and we saw the truth in it all, we got thinking, okay, this is one thing that we are very passionate about. We found the truth, and look at the world. Look at the sickness. Look at the kids. Look what we're feeding our kids. Look what is how many people are in the hospitals? How many people are on disability because of their diet? And so
let me just interject this part.
Yeah.
We'd go to the grocery store, sit in the parking lot, watch people come out with their cartfuls of food, going, if we ate like that once a month, we'd all be sick again.
Yeah.
How do people do this? And it's all a matter of your genes and whatever. But anyway, so
anyway, I was going to say,
really weird.
we became so passionate about it, and our neighbors, we had some neighbors move in, and their son had cystic fibrosis. And of course, all the neighbors around says, "Why don't you talk to Denley and Jan? Their girls have it, and they seem to be doing way better." And so they called us up, and we go over there, and man, we are on fire. Now is our chance, our time to shine.
So two things, right? The same two things.
Man, we laid out the whole program to them, and they looked at us like we were nuts. Crazy. And so I still remember the door shutting quite firmly behind us as we left.
Because they said we could never make our boy eat like this.
Yeah, we wouldn't. He just won't.
We couldn't do that.
We're not going there. And so we're in shock. We're standing there as the door closed behind us. We're going, I think we just got rejected.
Yes, we did.
Our first rejection. And so, but we became so passionate about it, and then we got a health food store. Because that's the only thing we knew, and I started developing a few products in that health food store. Got really quite passionate about it, and then people started coming to us for information about how to get better, because people don't want to hear what you have to say unless they ask. Yeah. And so I learned that a long time ago, that if people are not asking,
right.
If they're not asking, I don't offer it, because it's just going to be
just
rejected.
falls on deaf ears.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we became, in a position where we could start helping people. That really is a good feeling when you can see differences in somebody's health.
Yes.
And so then we got into total raw food for like 8 years. Not one cooked thing past our lips. Not one.
Not one.
Yeah, well, maybe one. Stewed mangoes in Belize. I didn't have the heart to say no to that lady. But anyway, then I went to a raw spirit festival in Sedona, Arizona, and with a raw food friend of mine. And we were introduced, David Wolf, he's a health guru, raw food guy, introduced us to a guy, and his name's Nick Stern. And he's sitting there really cool, like big, and he's like a bodybuilder. And I, he introduced us, and I said, "Wow, looks like you work out." He goes, "Wow, looks like you don't." He said, "I think you little raw fooders are running around here like a bunch of little girls. You're protein deficient, boy." He was nice about it. He was really nice. He says, "I think you're protein deficient." And I go, "I don't think so. I have raw food, and that's all I need. Thank you very much." He says, "I'm just saying, you might want to have it checked." So he says, "I want to start a company. Because all of the proteins out there, the whey and the soy and everything, it's like gut problems, intestinal toxemia, or joints. His joints were killing him, and all the gas and everything. So he wanted to start a protein company, a raw food one, and he was looking for a partner. And so he kept at it, and I finally could see the light that really there was very few choices of getting a clean clean source of protein that was hypoallergenic, that was actually good for you, that the body could utilize and not have the side effects of acidity in the building up in the system, because a lot of animal products causes acid in the body, and that's how you get sick.
Right.
High acid. And so this burns more on the alkaline side, and it became, it took us a year to come up with this thing, and it went boom, because people tried it and it really worked. It really worked.
Wow.
People, athletes, grandkids, mothers, soccer moms, everybody needs protein. We need it every day. It's something that the body doesn't store. It needs to be replenished every day, and thus I have a saying: you don't have to be vegetarian or vegan to take Sun Warrior, but I have a saying: instead of a steak, have a shake once in a while.
Once in a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't have to change your diet completely if you don't want to, but more of a plant-based diet is, in my opinion, is way healthier because of my own experience.
Absolutely.
You
You
know-
get your foot in the door, and you might like it. You might
You
want
might
to just
like
keep
it
doing it
a little
right?
bit more and a little bit more.
Well, and you might, I want to interject. When Nick told you were protein deficient, you said, no way, I get everything from raw food. But he did go home and get tested and said, dang, I am protein deficient.
I was short of amino acids.
that's what made him say, okay, let's do this.
Yeah,
So,
he had a good point. He
Yeah.
really did have a good point. And
So that was the start of Sun Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
You had those conversations, and then one thing led to another, and
Yep.
then
and a year later, we
and now all of a sudden this thing has just blossomed into a big giant company.
It went boom, and thank you, Lord.
Yes.
I'm just saying that I know where my blessings come from. I know who butters my bread.
and we only had one product, rice protein.
Yeah.
Rice
in
protein.
3
Raw
flavors.
rice protein.
That was the first one.
Yeah, 3 flavors, and that's all we had.
Yeah, and then we've gone into other proteins. We've gone into meal replacements. We've vitamins and minerals, and
And don't forget the bars.
And we have a new
I
bar.
think you have the best protein bar on the market. I mean, there's nothing like it's just incredible.
Thank
But-
you.
We
Thank
can-
you.
Yeah, let's show some of your I know that. Let's just give a little caveat here, because
Okay.
we sort of corralled you because you happen to be here, and we don't have any of your things to show, but we have a picture that they sent from your office, and
Yes.
so let's show some of your products there if we can, and if you want to just explain what those are.
Sure. Well, am I pointing at it?
Yeah,
The
the-
bars across
Yeah,
the top there.
You see a little blue one. Those are just different flavors of your
Different
protein bar.
flavors, and they're like 3 to 7 grams of sugar, and it's not real sugar. It's coconut nectar.
Uh-huh.
So most of them just have 3 grams of coconut nectar, about 17 to 19 grams of protein. So they're high protein,
Yeah.
very low in sugar, and there's 17 grams of fiber, which
Wow.
really is nice, having good fiber. And they're organic. I mean, they're pretty unique. They're very unique bars, and they taste good. They're
Yeah.
delicious. They have taken off. People like it because, they're handy. You
Absolutely.
get hungry at all, and it takes your appetite. It's gone.
Now there's some products there. Some of your proteins.
Okay.
And you have a number of different. Tell us a little bit about those.
Okay, yes. So the one on the bottom is the rice protein,
Uh-huh.
sprouted and fermented rice protein, and that's very, very assimilatable, and that's our first one. And then going up the middle, that's Warrior Blend. We have Warrior Blend, and that's a pea, hemp, and goji berry protein.
Okay.
Very, very nice. Very, very smooth. And people think that, a vegetarian or a vegan shake, plant-based shake is, not very good.
Chalky
This is
and icky.
delicious. This is delicious, and it's not chalky. And it's everything is a total essential amino acid profile.
Wow.
So you're getting all your amino acids in it. Clean.
Well, let's do a commercial before we go any further.
Okay.
Because I know you have a really great website, and that's sunwarrior.com, right?
Yes.
And it's all one word, sunwarrior.com, and you can go there. And can people order from on the site?
They can. Sunwarrior.com.
Okay.
They can get it in stores, in Whole Foods, vitamin shops, GNC. And let me say this, that like if the first 5 people that I see on an email saying radio ad, maybe say that on your email.
Just say I saw you on the Randy Jeffers show.
There you go,
Randy
Randy
Jeffers
Jeffers Show. And I'll send you a thing of protein.
Okay.
Smooth protein. The first 5 I get is Denley, DENLEY, at sunwarrior.com.
Denley@sunwarrior.com.
Send me-
Okay, I'm going to get all my family to do that right
Do
now.
it right now. Do that.
Well, that's fabulous. And so, what other kind of products do you have?
We have greens. We grow the greens in Utah, up in the volcanic rich soil. They're really, really rich. The greens are unique because a lot of the greens are juice powder.
Oh.
So we grow the grass up, cut it, and then juice it, the grass. And then immediately we dry it at 80 or 90 degrees. So it's raw. And talk about alive. You can pull them out and they're standing like that on a spoon, on your spoon. They're just alive.
Electrical.
And there's 2 billion probiotic count with every spoonful, with every serving.
My goodness.
And they're amazing. They taste good, and natural vitamins, natural minerals, all within the green. They're loaded. They're full of life. They really are. Amazing. Alkalizes the body. And then if you take the greens with our minerals together, it really makes you alkaline. And our minerals are plant-based minerals. We believe in plant-based. High in fulvic acid, so the minerals are delivered into the cell.
Yeah.
Cellular delivery. Unless we're getting delivery to the cells, we're wasting our money, really.
Yeah, it just gets eliminated.
Yeah, it does. It gets eliminated. And so your hair, your skin, your fingernails is all minerals.
Yeah.
And your brain. There's a book out there called Magic of Minerals by Carlson Wade. He talks about the efficiency of the brain and how it works. And he's even taken a step further to your personality. Poise, charm, confidence. It's all minerals. A lot of it is.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah, it has something to do with how you think, act, and feel.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of books, now
Yes.
you are an author, and you guys tell your story in this incredible book, and the name of that book is
The Warrior Way.
The Warrior Way.
Yes,
Okay, and you can get that on Amazon
you can.
or on your website, probably.
Yeah. Email me if you can't find it. I'll make sure you get one.
Yeah, you definitely want to get that book and read that. It's just a remarkable story. It's just, it's just one of those American success stories. You're turning tragedy into your your life's mission.
That's the way it happens a lot of times, isn't it?
It is.
And this
You have to
ends
have a
up,
passion.
this ends up to be. This is not a theory to us at all.
Yeah.
This is the truth. We are dealing with the truth here, and it just puts me on fire. We talk about the healthcare situation going on in the country now. Well, really, we should be responsible for our own health and do
Absolutely.
the best we can there, and treat it with nature. Nature is our answer. Instead of going to the government or going outside of our, we should try to help ourselves first, because there's a lot of power there.
Absolutely.
It's empowering.
Well, the story that you were telling about the neighbors had the little boy, and they said that they just couldn't do it, as if that's a sign of love for that child. But that child may not be here right now.
No, he was the same age as our oldest boy was, and I watched that boy grow up. And I saw him when he was graduating high school, then I saw him a year later. And when he was 19, 20 years old, I saw him, and he was so ashen gray. I just thought, oh, he's so not healthy. I felt so bad for him. Read his obituary about 6 months later in the paper.
Oh my goodness.
He's
So
gone.
he only lived to be about between 20 and 21.
Yep.
And how
So it
many
was
of us
sad.
in this, just in our circle of friends, the people we know, they go to the grocery store, like we were talking about. You have these big heaping piles of stuff, that's in those that you pay a fortune for, and really it's poison,
really is.
and then the other part of it is that this mentality that if your doctor tells you something that you better listen to him. How many people you say that, well, I got to talk to my doctor first.
Exactly. People come in our store
Yeah.
all the time and ask me a question, and what would I do because I look healthy or whatever, and I tell them, they go, well, okay, I can't buy it though because I have to ask my doctor.
Exactly.
I'm like, okay.
So the answer is what was told to you originally? The answer
Your
is
answer?
in
Nature.
nature. And it really is, isn't it? It's just
really
it's
is.
amazing. And you guys have captured that in your products in a very special way, and things that taste good, that are healthy for you, that really change your life, and that just make all the difference. I want to ask you a question, because is it possible that you can eat healthy fruits and vegetables and wonderful supplements that are good for you and spend less money than if you're just buying regular junk food?
It's
food's
it's
expensive.
we buy organic,
Uh-huh.
and of course it does cost more money, but we feel like that we'd rather put the money in our own lives, because Jan has a saying: you pay now or pay later, because you're going to spend more money on organic than you will otherwise, but you're going to be healthier and a lot less health problems.
Exactly.
And the food is more satisfying and fulfilling as
Yeah.
well. I mean, there's so much garbage or so much product in those other foods that they don't give your body what it needs. So then you're hungry for more.
But the
Exactly,
real
yeah.
expense is where people make, into health, they make a mistake by buying packaged. They're still buying packaged foods and pre-packaged and canned. If we would go back to eating the whole food, real food, your beans and your potatoes and
Salads.
just salads, beans, potatoes, just vegetables, steamed vegetables, and eat that way, it's really not that bad. It's you can go a long ways on a couple of bucks worth of beans.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're good for you. So
Yeah, I think if you can take meats out, meats are so expensive.
They
you
are.
take meats out of your shopping cart, you can
Saving quite a bit of money
save
right
so
there.
much money. It's just
Really?
amazing.
yeah.
Absolutely. So the girls are great now. They're
Doing great.
Yeah.
You've got little babies, and you have grandchildren.
Yep. We would have got cheated out of 15 of our grandkids.
Yeah, we have 22 grandkids
Had we
and
not done that.
14 of them are there. 15 of them are
15
there.
were there,
15
yeah.
of them are theirs. Yeah.
My goodness.
This is life-changing stuff.
It is. Yeah.
And so one of the big passions I have right now is how can we reach our kids? Because look at what we're raising. We're getting fatter every year.
Yeah.
Fatter and fatter children.
Yeah.
The parents are not feeding our kids right because they demand. They're around their friends, and so they demand. They want, all these sugared foods and fattening things and junk foods, and I know some people that they never fix a meal in their house. They go out to eat
Well,
every night.
moms are working all the time
Yeah.
now, and
Yeah,
the
right.
second income's a needful thing. So
It's
people
a
just buy it at the store pre-made,
Prepared and junk foods. You go,
and you'll pay for it
Yeah.
later.
and so
Absolutely.
it's there's a price to pay here, and I don't know. We're trying to figure out. We just did a thing with the American Ninja Warriors
Uh-huh.
in Virginia at a school. These American Ninja Warriors represent Sun Warrior, and they're doing all kind of flips, backflips, swinging from the chandeliers, doing all kinds of things. And these kids are just loving it, and they're teaching these kids, if you want a super body, you have to eat super food.
Yeah.
And you
Isn't
you
that
can
great?
you're driven. If you can do anything you want to, if you put your mind to it. And anyway, it's inspiring to these kids. We've got to reach the kids. I'm very passionate about that because it's our
Absolutely.
next generation. It's our leaders, our future leaders.
Absolutely. Well, I challenge everyone out there to get Dinley's book and make sure you read every bit of it. Watch this show over and over so you get that story about eating healthy and doing all the right things. And make sure you've got those. You've got Dinley's email, and once again, that's Dinley@sunwarrior.com.
DENLEY at sunwarrior.com.
And the first 5 emails he gets, he's going to send out a wonderful little package for you, and you're gonna love it. But even if you don't get one of those, make sure you go to your local health food store or go to sunwarrior.com and pick up some of these products and test them out, because you're going to just be blown away by how incredible they are. They're just amazing. Well, we're just about out of time, but real quickly, if you can, why the name Sun Warrior? How'd that come about?
Well,
We love the sun.
we love the sun. The sun is the giver of life.
Yeah.
And without it, we wouldn't be here. And I did sun gazing for like 3 years. I got up to 45 minutes looking at the sun, directly at the sun.
Oh my goodness.
45 minutes at a time. And I found out later that my partner was doing the same thing. We didn't even know
Another
each
part of
other,
the world.
Wow.
But we knew we wanted the name Sun in there because it's powerful. It is the power. And we saw the name unused on the internet. We're going, we pulled the trigger on that right now.
Well, 'cause the warrior's a fighter and he believes in something.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
it just fit.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of power in that name.
Well, you two are so delightful and such an inspiration to so many people, and I just can't wait to see what the results are going to be of the people that are watching, and it's wonderful to watch your company just grow and get bigger and bigger and helping more people all the time. So
Well, thank
thanks-
you, Randy. What
Yeah.
you know, you're doing an amazing thing here.
Yeah.
Thank you, and I
You are.
acknowledge you for this.
And we
Well,
love
thank
your
you.
product too.
You're doing a
Well, thanks.
amazing
Thanks
thing
for being
your-
with us, and we'll see you. We'll have you again because we could talk for hours.
We
and,
could.
Yeah.
So let's do that again, and we'll bring back some of your samples and let people see what the samples are, and we'll see
it.
you next week, same time, same station. Bye, bye, everybody.